Hey everyone, Christina here, and I'm here to talk to you about benefits and challenges between branding for solo practitioners in mental health versus branding for mental health businesses that are corporated. Now, we already kind of addressed the differences of branding between these two structures, and that was in my previous video, which I'll link up at the top here in case you missed it. And we're going to start with talking about the benefits first on being a solo practitioner and branding for solo mental health practitioner. So the first one in terms for benefits is that you have the flexibility to pivot in your practice. And that's a great advantage because if your audience customer base, if they are looking to shift more into maybe training in terms of like mindset training instead of actual, counseling sessions, that's somewhat of a pivot because you're kind of more educating than of, helping and being more of a listener. So that's kind of an interest in pivoting, and it really depends on the market, but you have that flexibility to do so. Also, this can help you tie yourself into being a one-man band where you attract very interesting people this way. And that's another advantage in my eyes. Another benefit here is that because you are using your real name in your brand, then it'll be so simple when it comes to building your brand around your name because you were working off of the foundations of you, your values, your personality, your voice, your style, anything of that nature. So it's very easy to use the building blocks and get you there. And as well, you kind of already have an idea of what kind of people you attract. And from there, that really helps to guide the brand and build the brand to speak to that certain ideal person that always comes to you. And like I said, it's easier to build a brand around your personality and your passions, but you make sure that you understand yourself first. So this requires you to go a little bit of digging deep within you to understand your passions and your personality type. And from there, you cater that brand to you, as well as your ideal customer. Formally, more of the ideal customer is going to be the large percentage in terms of designing a brand, but you are still going to be part of it in an authentic way. So now I'm going to talk about the challenges for branding for a solo practitioner, aka personal branding. So the first challenge here is, well, basically you're being you, right? And when you're investing a lot in your brand, you have to make sure that you know what you're doing and you associate everything that you do to your brand. So anything that you do outside of work as well could still have to be catered to your brand in some sort of way. So a lot of thinking in behind the scenes and making sure that you're being authentic to yourself. So that can be a challenge, especially if you're at a certain event and it's not within your brand theme, then that might cause a little bit of a rumble within your personal brand. But it really depends on how picky you are with this. But yes, you have to really invest heavily in your personal brand. So, attending the right events and, taking on partnerships that are going to benefit the brand itself. So don't take a charity event that doesn't align with your actual purpose, because then unfortunately you're wasting your time and you don't want that. So another challenge here when you're pretty much solo in your brand, the problem here is, let's just say a medical issue comes up. Who's going to run the business, right? It's just you. And can your business run without you? You might not have the framework in place. So that's another challenge, because you know your brand more than anyone else. So you need to run this. And that's the challenge in actually doing something for yourself on your own, is that there's no backup to support. The next challenge is you might have a hard time separating yourself from the business, because it's you. You can't separate yourself from yourself, right? So that's another challenge here, that you might have some difficulties trying to balance out your lifestyles. And basically that comes down to setting some habits for yourself when it comes to balancing your lifestyle, whether it's work style and personal lifestyle. That's something that you'll have to establish when you start thinking about doing a personal brand for yourself and running your own practice on your own. Let's just say you want to retire and you want to sell the business. Well, it's going to be very hard to sell the business because it's a personal brand. So you're selling yourself away, which is a bit difficult because you established this brand under your name. So that might be another challenge of trying to separate yourself. So we're going to move on to corporate mental health businesses and branding for that in terms of benefits and challenges. So we're going to start off with the benefits. So the first benefit is you get to come up with a unique name that you craft in a way that resonates with your people. And this is cool because you get to get your people involved with coming up with a name, whether it's your audience or your team, but everyone gets involved. And you craft this name in a way that it helps you define your services and it helps people to understand what you offer. Also, it could set you apart in terms of what you're known for. So that's a very good benefit instead of just picking your name, because anyone can be, Sandy Fox or, Jonas Bernando or something. So you want to make sure that the name is unique when you're making these types of decisions. Another great benefit for pretty much branding for a corporate business is that it really forces you to plan, line everything up in your business, and it allows you to focus on the vision for the business and where you want this business to go. And that's really cool because not many businesses really think ahead, and they just kind of go with the flow type of ordeal. Mind you, that can work and not work. So this helps you align yourself from the very beginning. And I think that's a very valuable thing. Now, the last benefit is you'll be able to sell this company easier because it's not under your name anymore. You just work for this company, which is, ABC brand. So that's very good because then you can sell it off and don't have to worry about any legal issues. And from there, you're able to move on to other things afterwards if you're retiring or whatnot. So that's a very good benefit there. Now we're going to move on to the challenges that this could bring. So challenge number 1, I would think that this would be easier, but I guess unfortunately when it comes to building a brand for corporate, it's hard to actually pivot. There's not much flexibility there because you're a larger business and there's a lot more that you have to get control over. And from there, you would have to pivot, but it would take you much longer to do so. And from there, you would have to really look at your brand as a whole again, because normally when it comes to larger corporated brands, they focus on the brand around a service or a product, and that's a big no-no because it limits you. So you want to build a brand that's following a purpose and building services and all those things around the purpose instead of building a brand the other way around a product. It's really, really hard to work around that without, being able to pivot. Next challenge here, and this is just coming from a design point, is that it will be much harder to create a design around this brand because the corporate branding, you're basically starting from scratch. When it comes to building a brand, you're basically pulling stuff from out of thin air in hopes that it makes sense. So here you would really need to get with your team and decide on, what common grounds you guys all have to make this work, because you have to come up with some sort of character to this brand that would allow everybody to be able to belong, because you want to make sure that your team echoes the same values, personality, story to your ideal customer. So everybody has to be in sync. And that's the hard part when designing a larger corporate brand for a team of people, because everybody has to be involved in the process of coming up with a name, colors, imagery, story. Everything has to relate and everybody has to be on that same page. When you're in a solo practitioner position, you already have a reputation built around your name already because you grew up with your name and everybody knows you for that name and know you for your personality. Whereas here, in building a brand for a corporate mental health care facility, well, there's going to be a challenge because you got to start from the very, very bottom and build your reputation up from there. So that's going to require a lot more time, effort, a lot of intensive labor work to get yourself known. So that's a little bit of a challenge there, but it's not hard to achieve. It's just going to be a lot more labor work in behind it all, depending on your comfort zone. So those were basically the benefits and challenges to branding for solo practitioners and branding for the mental health corporated facility level. So these two structures, they do have similarities, but they're also very different as well. So what I would like you guys to do is comment below and let me know which one resonated with you most. Do you prefer solo practitioner branding, which is personal branding, or do you prefer to be a corporation mental health care facility branding for corporate businesses? So let me know what you think, and thank you so much for listening, and like this video if you found this helpful. Have a good one, guys. Bye.